Gladiator II, the 24-year-long awaited sequel to the original Gladiator that came out in 2000. Came out in 2000. So, in a way, this might be the 90 kids Top Gun Maverick. You know, the whole long way sequel, nostalgia, that type of thing. Anyway, but when they announced this movie, when they officially got a release date of hey, we're doing Gladiator 2, here's the release date, this is what our plans are, this, the question came around, which is how do you do Gladiator 2? Because Magnus died. Like, he's dead. Like, he just, he died, went to the afterlife, and roll credits. How do you do Gladiator 2? And the response was, well, you focus on the sun. You focus on the sun. And then everyone's responses, including myself, is like, really? You're doing Hamlet with gladiators? You're going to do Lion King with gladiators? And also, Ridley Scott in recent years, or the last decade or so, hasn't had the best track record. With every Martian, and every Gladiator, and every Alien, you get Prometheus, you get Apollyon, you get the Counselor. You don't know what the Counselor is. All I will say is, you know those times where there's like a scene in a bad movie and that scene kind of affects the entire thing? Car humping window of a woman humping and orgasming all over a front window of a car. It's, yeah, that scene is explaining why it's bad. So you're just thinking, okay, this probably at best this is gonna be good or fine, but knowing we really saw track record recently, it's probably not be as good. Then First Reactions came along, and it came across as, oh, this is actually pretty good. Apparently, the early reactions came along, early reviews. They were like, hey, this is actually pretty good. This is not a bad movie. And I just came back seeing the movie, and I agreed with those critics. This is a pretty solid film. It is really well put together. I mean, when the criticism is more aligned on CGI, like, there's a good chunk of the arenas that's dealing with animals. You know, we're dealing with monkeys, we're dealing with rhinos, and we're dealing with sharks. The shark thing, I had to question myself, how the fuck did they put sharks in the Colosseum? I can see how they could flood the whole thing, but actual sharks, like now, I can, today's technology and advances, if they did it now, I can see it. But back then, but again, this is a movie. This is not a documentary. Not looking for historical accuracy. You hear me, historical accuracy, people? Yeah, because there's a lot of people. If you read some articles, I think for Deadline or Hollywood or whatever, there's people out there who are a little bit pissed and say this is inaccurate. It's like, of course it's not inaccurate. It's fucking movies. And do you also is Ridley Scott cast Christian Bale as Moses? Do you really think he really gives a shit about historical accuracy? Like, really? Anyway, but this is a really good film, and the plot is quite simple. It is, at the beginning, I would like. At the beginning, I thought, like, okay, this is just gonna, my guess, be the typical Gladiator story, which is our main character, Sabacus, it's his son, Lucas. He is part of our army. They, in the first couple of minutes, they fight this giant big army, and but he also has a partner. He has this girlfriend, his wife, partner, and she dies in the crossfire of said battle. But she's also a warrior, and while being captured by the Romans, Lucas is on the battle. He is on the battle of a quest for vengeance towards the general who was in charge of the said battle by being a gladiator. A slave to a gladiator. Looking for vengeance. And at the time, in the first 20 minutes, I was like, okay, this feels like, you're just remaking the first one with little tweaks here and there. But the more the movie goes along, the more you realize, okay, this is becoming more than just the typical revenge plot. This is starting to become like very Game of Thronesy in a way, because you're dealing with intrigues, the tits turns, the backstabbing. I mean, you have Denzel Washington's character, who basically is the main villain of the movie, and his character is probably the most interesting character in the entire movie, because he is the twists and turns and stabbing. Because at the time, at the beginning, he's just like, oh, I have a wonderful warrior, this wonderful gladiator, and I will put him in my arenas and everywhere I go. And but you realize he has plans. He's hungry by power, and he will do anything in his power to get said power, including blah 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 blah. And he's basically, was it Littlefinger? Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. It is Littlefinger. He is basically Littlefinger. Which, but if Littlefinger was a little bit more tiptoey, and it could just say, and just is very initiative and pulling more swings in the background, because the emperors, in this film, because there's two of them, so one of them, a little bit a bit of a nutcase, because all the stuff with Maximus and the hope that Rome will be as peaceful in the dream of Rome, it hasn't happened yet. And these emperors, these two emperors, are the king of are the main, pretty much the main reason why Rome is shit. And they're basically little Joffreys. I mean, one's a little bit insane than the other. I mean, but there's one who just has a massive bloodlust. Like, if you slightly say no to this guy, he wants your head on a fucking platter. I was thinking, dude, there's a part where his brother is pulling him away. It's like, okay, no, drop the knife, no, drop the sword. You drop the sword. It's like, but it shows the political aspect of things. It is very focused on the political aspect of the Roman Empire, and it's just it's intriguing, and having the action there to basically sprinkle some things. And I mean most of the arenas are different. You know, you have one with monkeys, even though the CGI is rough. You have one with rhinos, a little bit rough. You have one with water with sharks, which is a little bit rough. And then you have your classic just gladiators clashing each other, and they all feel different. They never feel the same, because that can be a real wisp when you have if you're gonna have massive action sequences, and like 95% of it is set in one location, and you have to find different ways to make it different and make it engaging and all that. And also the classic thing of, it's a sequel, we need to top it, so let's just have most of them fighting animals and all that. Even though the poor lion, the classic lion, doesn't pop up. Oh, he does pop up once in a cage, but not like, you're fighting a tiger. You're fighting a tiger now. You're fighting a lion now. Yeah, that type of thing. But yeah, the performances are well put together. The weird thing is, you don't see Maximus, you don't see Russell Crowe, even in like a de-aging sense of it, but you feel Max's presence out through the entire movie, where, because when you're dealing with a character, the lead character of the previous movie's son is living, naturally the presence of that previous character, because the connection that we have with Lucas is by the events of the first film, and that's through Max's eyes, and now we're in Lucas's eyes, and it's the whole shebang. But yeah, this is a solid film. This is actually a really well put together film that I was quite surprising. Once again, please not hasn't had the best track record lately. All that, the performances are great, from, as I said, Denzel Washington to Joshua Quinn, who Plays one of the emperors. You got Patrick Pastel in that. He does a remarkable job. Uh, you know, Kylie Nelson, who's returning as the mother. Um, Lucas's mother in from the first film. She does a remarkable job. Like, the performances are great, and it gets nuts when it gets nuts. Surprisingly, this movie's way PG-13 or way M, and I was like, are we? What are the rules now? Because I thought we used to do the whole we can't show blood. Really? No, we can't show blood. Meanwhile, we're gonna have 7 heads getting chopped off and arms getting chopped off and all that kind of stuff. So clearly something. It's interesting that the first film is where it's an R-rated film or MA-rated film, and this one's PG-13, and it's having the same. Yeah, but it could be sophistication. It could be like it's history. It's a historical accuracy, so we must not historical accuracy, but it's history. So it could be maybe now it's like a little bit of blood splatter, fine. The odd hand getting chopped off, that's fine. But and that. But yeah, if you think Gladiator II, comment below. Let me know your thoughts.